Good evening and welcome to Pastor Susan's retirement celebration. Whether you're with us in the congregation this evening or joining us on live stream, this evening will prove to be full of surprises and memories, maybe some tears, great music, but most of all, an opportunity to thank both Susan and Tawes for 11 remarkable years at Woods. And I should mention that when Nancy came to me and asked if I would please be the MC for this event, I said I would be delighted to be the master of ceremonies. And Nancy countered, MC means masked coordinator. So that's my job this evening. I first want to introduce our most special guests, Susan and Tawes. We're going to be talking about them all, but just round of and throughout the congregation this evening, we have representatives of all of our ministries, the ministry chairs. They're going to be making presentations, and we look forward to that throughout the evening. I'm now going to have Nancy tell us about the theme of this evening. Nancy?
Thank you all for being here tonight and for wearing your masks and being socially distant from each other. We are asking that you maintain that awareness of our protocol here in the church, even at the end of the service, and no hugging, no touching, no shaking hands, that kind of thing. But you will have a chance to say something briefly to Susan and Tawes out in the lobby at the end of the event. We are garden themed here tonight, and I'd like to thank the flower ministry for this amazing garden that they have created. Specifically, Jenny Henry, who coordinated all of this, and Sally Soxie, and Sue Hannes, and Valerie Thomas. The theme is inspired by the fact that you were planted among us, Susan, and we grew from that, and we thank you for that very much. The other people that we need to thank are multiple musicians, specifically David Merrill and Sarah Cantfor. They have put in tons of work in making all of this happen tonight. And so, as always, we appreciate your doing that. Our tech crew, there are many people there. Susan, what we have decided is that we have 10 ministries, so we have 10 things to offer you. 10 ministries and 10 things. Among them, as specifically themed, is a particular flower. And Jacob, what's the name of that flower that always gets into a fight?
Black-eyed Susan.
Oh, yeah, that's right, a black-eyed Susan. And isn't that the one that has the trouble riding a bike?
I forget what you told me to say earlier.
Yeah, it lost its petals, that's right. Very good, Jacob. There's more of that to come over this next year for sure, just get ready. But we have themed this around the Black-Eyed Susan, and Dixie Smith, as part of our prayer shawl ministry, if you'll come up here, here at Woods, made this from the deacons and the prayer shawl ministry for you. It is a Black-Eyed Susan quilt. And you can put that up here if you want. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Of course, why is a black-eyed Susan like the letter A? It's followed by B. Thank you. We will now, they get better. We will now start the evening's presentations from each ministry, and we would like to have Bob Royer from Property come forward.
All righty. Well, Susan, on behalf of the property management, we want to thank you for your strong support of the ministry, especially in the planning and execution of our Renew Capital campaign. You cheered on our energy reduction initiatives and our environmental projects on native plants, both of which have gained national recognition. We want to leave you with the gift that encompasses all those memories and present to you now. Do we have the slides up? Okay. And present to you now a beautiful painting of Woods Church done by our own Jenny Henry. We also have a gift to Taz from the rehabs, which I will present now. If we can bring that slide up. Okay. Who else but the rehabs, right? Well, Taz, now that you and Susan have taken the plunge into retirement life, rehabs wanted to give you a proper farewell. We know how draining it could be to deal with the logistics of moving, and we understand that sinking feeling you may experience when faced with having to leave your rehabs buddies behind. So as a thank you, we want you to be flush with new ideas, along with the funds to implement them through this Home Depot gift card. You can rest assured that we have you completely backed up here for any home improvement advice you may need. We will always keep a clear line open for you, and you shall never feel trapped. One word of advice, now that you're back in Florida, watch out for snakes. Be prepared to back up and don't wrench your ankle. So now in closing, we wish you Godspeed for this next chapter of your life from the guys who are plumb crazy about both of you.
We now invite a representative from Mission Ministry, Bill Hadley.
It's a tough act to follow. Good evening, all. It is really my pleasure and privilege to represent Missions Ministry tonight with a gift to Susan. And in the process, I want to tell you just how supportive Susan has been with our missions work. She's leaving us a legacy that's going to be maintained, I hope, for many years to come. And we're all very proud of her for her leadership, and wish her and Taz all the best in the years to come. I want to just give you a brief look at missions ministry. We maintain active relationships, take this down, with over 30 mission partners. These range the gamut from many mission partners here at home in our local neighborhood to those around the nation, and we're very proud to say we have several active relationships with mission partners overseas. So I'll give you some examples at home, and these are the result of Susan's benevolent leadership and support throughout the 11 years she's been with us. We have a relationship with a group called Hope for All up in Glen Burnie. It maintains a huge warehouse, if you've never seen it, it's gigantic, with home furnishings that we provide and they do for those in need. Baltimore Station up in Baltimore near the football stadium provides residential recuperative care for several hundred U.S. military veterans. We all know about winter relief. The church gets together to provide a home at Woods for the homeless and hot meals during the dead of winter. The center, you may not have heard as much about, a very active facility in Baltimore, provides training and humanitarian events for people throughout the country. There's ACT, it's an acronym standing for Anne Arundel Connecting Together. It's an activist grassroots organization seeking to mobilize public support for issues in need of redress, such as gun violence reduction, schools in need of greater support, and many other issues. A group called SPAN, it's been around for many years, provides food and other relief to those in need throughout our area. We all know about the Hunger Relief Program. We provide food several times a month to Herondale Presbyterian Church in Glen Burnie for homeless people. Langton Green, which is a county-based residential community supporting adults with intellectual disabilities. A group called Drink at the Well, you may not have heard of, is an organization in Curtis Bay in Baltimore, provides recovery support to women challenged by substance abuse, domestic violence, and human trafficking. Parenting for a Different World, which seeks to provide children with life skills such as resiliency, help seeking, and coping. And the Good News Jail and Prison Ministry has facilities both in Annapolis and Glen Burnie, and we're very active in both. Nationwide, we have a couple of ministries we are very active in supporting: Habitat for Humanity and disaster relief for those suffering from natural disasters like tornadoes and hurricanes. And lastly, but certainly not least, we were very proud supporters of several ministries overseas, including Guatemala, where we support activities to empower women in that country. Malawi, where we provide wide-ranging medical aid and other support. Cuba, where we provide water filtration systems, food, and other kinds of measures of support. And Palestine, where we visit periodically to try to help the oppressed Palestinian people in the Bethlehem area. You might be surprised to know there are no Christians left in Bethlehem. And we go to a little suburb called Beit Sahur near Bethlehem to help those people. Tonight, Susan, we're providing you an album replete with photographs from your 2 mission trips to the Holy Land and to Cuba. And these mission trips, the ones to Palestine in particular, were designed to help our oppressed Palestinian brothers and sisters in the Beit Sahur area just near Bethlehem. We spent nearly half of our time during the 2018 pilgrimage living with these families and trying to provide them support. The pilgrimage that you helped lead to Cuba was meant to provide, as I said, water filtration units. Water is really poorly filtered there, food and other goods, to suffering people at the Sancti Spiritus Church outside Havana. I want to emphasize Susan was actively involved in all these efforts. She was a very, very strong supporter. We were very proud to have her leading the way and introducing us to many of the realities of Christian support to our suffering friends around the world. In doing so, Susan kept us faithful to our church visions of, quote, providing support to our neighbors near and far, and to being a voice of faith, transforming lives and society through Jesus Christ. So we're going to miss you and Taz terribly, but you certainly have earned your time away, and we hope to see you from time to time. And we thank you again for the wonderful legacy you're leaving us all.
If you hadn't noticed, we have aggregated our ministry gifts this evening into categories. The first category I did not mention was far and near. We now move into the category of young and old. And we start with CDC. And Roxanne, could you please come up? Thank you.
I thought I would share a children's poem by Shel Silverstein, Where the Sidewalk Ends. There is a place where the sidewalk ends and before the street begins. And there the grass grows soft and white, and there the sun burns crimson bright, and there the moonbird rests from his flight to cool in the peppermint wind. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black and the dark street winds and bends. Past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow, we shall walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and watch where the chalk white arrows go to the place where the sidewalk ends. Yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk white arrows go. For the children they mark, and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends. Pastor Susan, as you begin your walk on your new sidewalk, know that the children, parents, and teachers at Woods Child Development Center wish you whimsy, sunny days, and chocolate. The gift we have, we thought you might be doing some traveling, so the children have made you things, a little something to put your things in. There you go. So, yes, please do. Spin it around. Did you see the front?
Thank you, Roxanne. We will now have Gail Gillespie from the Children's Ministry. Come forward, thank you.
Susan, it's just my pleasure to represent Children's Ministry here this evening, and we have a book put together by one of our ministry members and a little help from her friends, and I think it's going to show up here somewhere. If it doesn't, I'm going to open it and read it straight from the book. Here we go. Okay. All right. So it is representing the ways that you supported the children's ministry and many of those things that we were able to enjoy and do with the children because of your encouragement and support. So, Woods Church Children's Ministry, oh my gosh, can I read that? The Children's Ministry of Woods Church is grateful for the work that Pastor Susan has done with our ministry. I'm not sure I can read it. I may need somebody else. Or I'll open the book, one or the other. Okay, next page. There we go. They're just some of the wonderful pictures. Here comes Frances. Pastor Susan helped the Children's Cross find a permanent home.
You're doing great.
There you go. All right. And there's that wonderful cross that's out there. Thanks, Frances.
So Pastor Susan encouraged children to be present in the sanctuary by creating the children's moment during the Sunday services. Pastor Susan supported our successful Vacation Bible School Week each summer. Susan honored all our educators every fall as schools opened for the year, including Sunday school. Pastor Susan continued our Easter Palm Sunday procession and started our Easter family service tradition. Pastor Susan participated in our first drive-through nativity. And Pastor Susan continued our tradition of the Christmas Eve pageant.
One of our little ones wondered when she was going to get to be an angel again, because she remembered that so fondly. This book is through the eyes of the children, and we hope that you're going to read it to your grandchildren, and they'll see, there's Grandma. So there you go.
A logical progression from child to youth. And if we may have a representative from
Susan, your dedication and support for our youth ministry has helped us grow a strong and impactful program. We are grateful for your many years of service to the church and God's greater glory. When thinking of something you could take with you on your next adventure from our youth families, there were many ideas. But what could truly embody the essence of family? For most of our families, time around the dining table is our most treasured. So we asked families of all ages within our congregation to send us their favorite family recipes so that you could take a little piece of each of us with you when you go. We hope that you, your children and grandchildren will find fun recipes here, and you might be able to share with them a little bit about the family who inspired your meal. We will miss you greatly and pray that your future is full of warm cookies, delicious meals, and lots of treasured time with your family around the dining table.
Thank you, Jan. The adult ed is represented by DeWyngaert. If you could please come forward.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Susan and Taz. I'm honored to be here to represent adult ed and all of the folks, both in adult ed now and past and present. All the members of the adult ed heartily thank you, Susan, for your shepherding and support throughout our years at Woods. I say our years, you and I started here basically the same year. Don't know which came first, we'll have to check. You've consistently expressed the importance of offering spiritual growth opportunities for our Woods adults as we travel along our spiritual journey together, and your leadership and advocacy will be missed. We know that your next well-earned chapter comes with a mixture of joy, excitement, and optimism, but also with some sadness and perhaps even fear. Change is daunting. And these mixed emotions apply to us here at Woods as well. So as we plan for our next chapters together, I turn, as I often do, to that philosopher poet, Mike Tyson, who, when asked about a boxer who said he had a plan, said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. But I jest. The person I always turn to is Howard Thurman, who, as Pastor Jacob could probably tell you, I don't I use just about every class I'm ever involved in and every prayer I'm asked to say. Howard Thurman, if you don't know, is one of our great preachers of the 20th century, a visionary theologian, and pertinent to this week, a spiritual advisor to Dr. King. And in so doing, I found a message that I hope is resonant for you, Susan, as well as all of us as we consider what is ahead. So listen to Thurman's words, and I ask that as you do, you replace the singular I and me with both Susan and Woods Church. So the words of Howard Thurman. I will sing a new song. As difficult as it is, I must learn a new song that is capable of meeting the new need. I must fashion new words born of all the new growth in my life, my mind, and my spirit. I must prepare for new melodies that have never been mine before, that all that is within me may lift my voice unto God. How I love the old familiarity of the wearied melody, how I shrink from the harsh discords of the new, untried harmonies. Teach me, my Father, that I might learn with the abandonment and enthusiasm of Jesus, the fresh new accent, the untried melody, to meet the need of the untried morrow. Thus I may rejoice with each new day and delight my spirit in each fresh unfolding. I will sing this day a new song unto thee, O God. Howard Thurman. On behalf of Adult Ed, we would like to present you with this gift. It is a bound selection of your sermons. Begins with the very first sermon that you delivered here, has many of your Easter sermons, and we hope that you'll be able to look on that fondly. We also have another copy of this in the library already for generations to be able to study and witness. With that, Susan and Taz, may God bless you and Woods as we sing our new songs. Thank you.
We now transition into congregation and community, and we will now enjoy a slideshow that has been prepared by the communications before Karen steps up.
Pastor Susan, Communications Ministry is so excited to honor you because communication is your gift. You've communicated God's love, God's grace, and God's truth. I remember one of the quotes that sticks out to me the most was that you always talked about comforting the afflicted and afflicting the comforted. And so I think we've all been both on occasion. The present that we created for you from Communications is a book of those images and many more that you just saw, because we always think about the visuals in Communications and the content. And the content woven through the pages of this book are verses from each member of the Communications ministry that really spoke to us about your ministry. And so we hope you enjoy it with your family, and are reminded of the tremendous impact that you've made, both in our individual lives, in our community, and becoming a community here at Woods. I think that is one of the most amazing parts of being part of our congregation. It is such a community, and the congregation has such a voice and participation in all of ministry, and you really facilitated that. And so, as a ministry, we wish you fair winds and following seas, particularly knowing that you're moving to Florida. So please know that your legacy does endure, that we're excited to continue to carry on the work that you've begun, and we really celebrate the work that you've done here. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Not only the masked coordinator, I'm also in the welcome ministry. And I said at the offset that we are thanking both Susan and Taz for 11 remarkable years this evening, but we are also celebrating and acknowledging Susan's 38 years in the ministry, and she'll be retiring from that. I think there's someone else who could tell us a little bit more about the significance. I will let that individual tell us.
Congratulations, Susan, on your retirement. It's always a joyful time to renew past relationships, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this special occasion. Where have the years gone? I first met you when you were a student at Queens College as a part of Kathy's church history class. And then as a part of your seminary training, you became the student minister of the 7th Avenue Presbyterian Church in Charlotte, where I was pastor. After receiving your Doctor of Ministry degree, you came to be the associate pastor of the Selwyn Presbyterian Church for 8 wonderful years. In addition to our pastoral and educational and preaching ministry, we were also engaged in a number of community service programs. Christmas International House, providing home away from home for 20 to 30 students during their vacation from their educational institutions. The Charlotte Boys Choir, which was founded in our facilities. The CAN Care Program, or Cancer Care Program, which paired those who were survivors of cancer with those who had just learned that they had cancer. For several years, a nesting home for a Korean church, which was organized by our presbytery. A great scouting program, which involved building a new scouting hut. A sponsoring of refugee families whose children achieved great things as they were growing up. An adult daycare program, which was the first program in Charlotte. And a child development center, a preschool child development center, which was your dream. And it continues to be a blessing to children in Charlotte, enrolling as many as 100 children each year. I've always treasured the time that we shared in ministry, and I thank you for the time that you've ministered to our own 4 children. As we think about your embarking with Taz on your retirement years, we hope that, Kathy and I hope that you will have as joyful and meaningful retirement years as we have had. At a time when there were still only a few or a small number of women ministers, we still smile at the comment that your preschool daughter made to you when she said, "You mean Neil is a minister too?" Blessings on your retirement. Congratulations, Susan.
I have misplaced the name of Neil McMillan, her first ministry colleague. Of course, we had invited and hoped many of these significant personalities from Susan's past could join us tonight, but this is, I think, a marvelous technology that we can take advantage of. I'd also like to introduce one of my colleagues from Welcome Ministry, Mary Jane, to provide an additional gift from the Welcome Ministry. Mary Jane?
Thank you so much. I'm honored to come and speak and represent Welcome. Susan and Taz, you're so special. And I want to tell you it was fun getting to know Reverend Neil. Some phone calls, a lot of missed calls, emails, a few wrong letters in the emails, but what a beautiful way. We're delighted. I think up there we're going to have a picture, which Mark Todd designed and is fabricating a necklace for you. It has 4 discs or charms and the names of each of the churches you have served, and the dates are on it. Here's a picture. It's up on the screen. Unfortunately, with the way things are going with supply and demand, but we will mail it to you. I don't think we'll have it by this time. You're welcome. You're welcome. And then the quilters of Woods have me give this to you too. Yes, please. It's actually a Christmas wall hanging made out of Christmas fabrics. And Susan, going with the theme here with the crocheted shawl and the stitched cross, you have stitched and sewed all of us together in this church. The ministries are so proud to be under you and with you. You've encouraged all of us to follow Jesus Christ, and you have come to us individually, as ministries, as session, and as this large church. Thank you for all of your support, love, your caring, giving ways. You have done so much for all of us. We are all so grateful. We wish you and Taz the very best in this new chapter in your lives. You will be missed, but we know you're going to be happy in sunny Florida. Don't we wish we were all there now? God bless, and Taz, thank you too for all of your support. We're so, so blessed. Thank you.
We now segue into the leadership and stewardship gifts. And I'd like to have Ellen Oaks, Human Resources Department, come forward.
So there's a scene in The Great Gatsby where Gatsby, after 5 years of being apart from his one true love, Daisy, is finally going to reunite with her at Nick's house. And he's so nervous that he has an entire greenhouse brought into Nick's little cottage. And then before Daisy arrives, he turns to Nick and nervously says, "Is there anything else we need?" And Nick looks around and says, "Well, perhaps more flowers." And I kind of feel like I've stepped into Nick's cottage tonight. But I do think that the flowers, the plethora of flowers here, are emblematic of the plethora of relationships you have built, and the relationships that make up human resources are the most important part of the church. As wonderful as our physical plant is, and as exciting as it has been to see it be renovated, it's still the people of the church that make it the welcoming space that it needs to be. And so, Susan, you have done a wonderful job recognizing our gifts and pushing us to recognize ones that we didn't know we had, both our lay leadership and our leadership within the staff of Woods Church. So our gift to you is messages from the staff with pictures so that you can look back and recognize the relationships that you built, the work you did, and how you made us all just a little bit better than what we thought we could be.
Thank you, Ellen. Finally, from our finance department, ministry, not department. I'd like to have Mark come forward.
Since we're all about numbers, I got strength in numbers here. And, not being very creative, to come up with something witty or quilted or really nice. We did take up a collection, so I have some a love offering for you. That, it was better than trying to print out all the financial reports for the last 11 years. Put that in a book and send that on with you. I figured you got enough moving expense as it is, so we didn't really need all that. But I did manage to create a cheesy little certificate for you, and we do have something a little more substantial in the way of a love offering that we have gathered. And we still continue to gather. If anybody else wants to donate to that, we can get that to you. We have your address. We know where you're going. And we're not going to let you go. So we will get that to you.
I was the finance chair when you first arrived. Mark is the current one, and we just had up here 2 other finance chairs. But first of all, this is a beautiful setup, and I have to tell you, when I walked in and looked at it, I said, "Boy, it feels like we're setting up to roast Susan and Taz." I can see even behind the mask, Susan's going, "Okay, John, where are we going with this?" Who says finance is boring, right? But as finance chair, all of us developed a very special relationship with Susan. And as we would work through figuring out how's the church set up, figuring out the budget summits, and delivering bad news and delivering good news, and working through a myriad of issues, all of us have heard all about the leadership that Susan's given us. And we just heard a little bit about relationships, but all of us developed a very close relationship with Susan. But when I step back and look at it, as each of us transitioned out of that chair position, that relationship persisted. And Susan would go on and continue to develop close relationships, but she would stay close to all of us. And that has happened across the entire church. And Susan's capacity for reaching out, connecting with people, caring, and becoming a part of all of our families is just remarkable. And I think that is something that we should all celebrate, we all appreciate, we love you for, and we're all going to miss that very much. So thank you.
Thank you, Finance. We promised great music, and David Merrill will now come down and bring this celebration to a rousing finale. Where's David? Because I can't sing. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I would like to start by asking Pastor Susan and friends if you could replant yourselves in the reserved seats here at the front row. Before we offer the worship gift this evening, I would like to take a moment to say a huge thank you to everyone involved in making tonight's celebration possible, especially to you, Pastor Nancy, who right from the beginning when we knew Susan's news, organized our goodbye committee and has made tonight just absolutely beautiful. So thank you, Nancy, and of course, thank you. And thank you, Susan. The gift the worship ministry would like to offer is a newly composed anthem. We collaborated with composer Joseph Martin and commissioned a piece entitled A Life of Grace. Our commission statement reads, commissioned to the glory of God and in honor of Reverend Dr. Susan DeWyngaert's 38 years of ministry in the Presbyterian Church USA and 10 years as senior pastor at Woods Memorial Presbyterian Church in Severna Park, Maryland. Tonight, the piece will be offered as a duet, and on Sunday, the piece will be offered as a virtual choir, which will incorporate the full music ministry. I have invited Garrett and Violet Thompson, thank you for being here, to assist me in reading the lyrics to allow us to understand the beauty and amazing journey of this anthem. From the composer. I began this journey by focusing on the text. He says, thank you, Taz, for your splendid information. I drew inspiration from one of the sentences on the commission form. It reads, Susan loves working with youth. She thinks of them like a watered garden as great blessings. With that thought, I have crafted a text that reflects the call to ministry and a life of service as a garden or a field of harvest. The opening is a short adaptation of an old hymn, Awake to Love and Work. This opening solo is the call.
Awake, awake to love and work. The lark is in the sky. The fields are wet with diamond dew as Jesus passes by.
As the anthem proper begins, the text describes our deep yearning for Christ and displays the mystery of faith and the calling to ministry as a fragile flower reaching towards heaven.
Just beyond the garden wall, the seeds of faith are tossed and sown. The sacred rains begin to fall. The winds of mercy blow, and 'neath the dust a promise grows.
And reaching for the sapphire sky against the hard and stubborn soil, a flower finds her heart and soul and reaches for the light and reaches out to know the one true light.
The refrain then enters, bringing us the heart of our response to God's grace, and delivers the core message for our walk of service.
We are planted for a purpose. We are meant to thrive. We are nurtured by the Spirit. We were born to rise.
We are children of the garden, a harvest made of praise, planted for a purpose, to give our hearts to service. We are called to live a life of grace.
The short transitional bridge is an affirmation of our commitment to the community of faith.
To give, and give again, to serve God faithfully, to find the lost, not to count the lost, and live to bring God glory.
This crescendo invites a final verse that issues a challenge to dedicate our lives to walking worthy of the high calling of the gospel. I reference a number of servant-based scriptures in this stanza.
Today the fields are full and white. The need is great, the workers few. Pick up the plow that waits for you. This is the Savior's cry. The harvest time is nigh.
This final verse wraps us up in the promise of tomorrow and calls us all to ministry. It gives us a glimpse of the promised land and energizes the urgency of this important work.
And so we work till day is done. We mind the wheat and tend the vine. We trust in God, the source of life. We learn to walk in faith and live a life of purpose all the way. A life of grace.
Thank you, Garrett and Violet. In honoring a minister's faithfulness with this anthem, I also wanted to connect the dots to each person's singular calling to service. I pray that in the singing and hearing of this message in song, that people will be reminded of the privilege of serving in the gardens of the Lord. Much grace, composer Joe Martin. Now, as we know, the choirs themselves are unfortunately unable to sing currently, but they so graciously came to the choir room and signed a copy of the front of the anthem for Pastor Susan, allowing them to be a part of this celebration and to say thank you for your love, your support, and your kindness. Until we sing again. And now, in the glory of God, and if I can get through it, and in honor of the Reverend Dr. Susan DeWyngaert, we offer a life of grace.
Awake, awake to love and work. The lark is in the sky. The fields are wet with diamond dew. As Jesus passes by, as Jesus
just beyond a garden wall. The seeds of faith are tossed and sown. These sacred rains begin to fall. The winds of mercy blow, and neath the dust a promise grows.
And reaching for the sapphire sky, against the hard and stubborn soil, a flower finds her heart and soul, and reaches for the light, and reaches out to know the one true light. We are planted for a purpose. We are meant to thrive. We are nurtured by the Spirit. Oh, we were born to rise. We are children of the garden, a harvest made of praise.
Planted for a purpose,
to give our hearts to service. We are called to live a life of grace.
to give and give and give again, to serve God faithfully, to spend our all, not count the cost, and live to bring God glory. Live to bring God glory.
Today the fields are full and wide.
Send me.
The need is great, the workers few.
I'll serve with all my
Pick up the
heart.
plow that waits for you.
No turning back.
Look to the golden sky. The harvest time is drawing nigh. And so we work till day is done. We mind the wheat and tend the vine. We trust in God, the source of life. We learn to walk in faith and live a life of purpose all the way. We are planted for a purpose. We are meant to thrive. We are nurtured by the Spirit. Oh, we were born to rise. We are children of the garden, a harvest made of praise.
Planted for a purpose,
to give our hearts to service. We are called to live a life of grace.
we are called to live a life of grace.
We are called to live a life
our concluding remarks. When you think about it, Susan and Talls are just not leaving us. They're simply going to Florida, where most Woods members go when they retire. And I've heard some rumors swirling that Bob Royer and the property committee and the rehabbers are scoping some property on the Gulf Coast to start construction of Woods 2. So we all have a place to look forward to visiting you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank all of you, and you ministries are absolutely amazing. This was just wonderful. Thank you for all of that, for your thoughtfulness and your prayers and your relationship with Susan. That was, I hope you felt that powerfully. When you leave tonight, there will be a packet of black-eyed Susan seeds sitting on the table out there for you to take. And also, since we are not able to do a reception, you'll have an opportunity to pick up a card, a note card, and write a note to Susan and Tawes on that. Her address, their address is included in your program, so you can send that to them. And before we have Jacob close us with prayer, I believe that Susan had something that she wanted to say. By the way, Jacob, why was it that black-eyed Susan, they're never any good at math? You know, Mark Bowen was saying finance was so boring. Do you remember why they're not very good at math?
Why is that, Nancy?
Because they don't like square roots. Tell you what.
Speechless, which is very rare for me. I ordinarily have words, lots of words, but you all are beyond description. You are beyond words. I've known it since the beginning, but you've brought it together in such a profound way for me tonight. You are truly God's people. And you always will be God's people. Most important word I have for you is love. I love you. I always have. I always will. I've loved you from the day we first met, and tonight, and for almost 11 years now. Some of the most wondrous moments of my life have happened here. Taz and I have loved sharing this chapter of our lives with you in all of these ways, in the hundreds of things we've done together. I'm going to share just a handful of them on Sunday, like the centennial celebration. Yeah. And the many baptisms and confirmations and Woods Works and mission projects and concerts and musicals and a capital campaign. And most recently, the new reimagined virtual Woods Memorial Presbyterian Church. The world has certainly changed in 10 short years. But the scriptures tell us that to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. On Monday, you begin a new season of your life, and so do we. And I cannot wait to see what you become. You are blessed. God has blessed you with extraordinary gifts, talents, abilities, an incredible heart. You have a staff here at Woods that is, well, second to none. You've seen and heard from our ministries tonight
You know that the impact that all of these people have on this community in the name of Christ is, well, it's indescribable. There really are no words. And yet, you have used such beautiful language, such beautiful words to describe what's happened. It's hard for me to match that. I've been thinking about how I've changed in these 10 and a half, almost 11 years now. I think I've changed during my time with you because Taz and I both have had our faith deepened. I think we're a little wiser. We've deepened our love for each other. And you have shown us amazing grace. We will be enjoying what you have given us for the rest of our lives. It's going to be hard not seeing you every day. But we have your handprint on our hearts. It reminds me of that song from the musical Wicked. You know we love musical theater here. And did you know that Stephen Schwartz, who wrote Wicked, also wrote Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and Children of Eden? Here are the lines. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I've learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now, whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friends. It's been a really interesting time to be the church. Yeah. We've had hard choices to make, and we haven't always agreed on things. But you know, we have never lacked for listening and respect and kindness, love. And I will never forget that. Your Woods. And that means that you have always shown integrity and generosity in all that you do. Some of you have retired. And you have given me suggestions, ways to do this. I hope you won't stop doing that. I really need to know. And yes, I will remember to play with my grandchildren. They do grow up too fast. You said that we should take time simply to be together as a couple, to enjoy each other, something we've had not enough time for in our lives. And so we go. We go trusting in God's grace to navigate this next and new chapter of our lives. And I do believe that I have been changed for the better because I've known you. We have been changed for good. And I'll always be grateful to God for this congregation, for our marvelous staff. And when I mentioned that song to my very talented ministry colleagues, they volunteered to sing it for you. This is Kylie Sodi and Sarah Kent singing For Good.
You're not going to want to be up here and be seen.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason. bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow. We'll be with them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you,
because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for.
But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the
wind
sun,
off the sea,
like a sea that meets
like
a
a seed dropped by
skybird
a
halfway
bird
through
in
the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But
I do believe I have been changed for the better.
And because I knew you,
because I knew you,
because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
I'm the only person who thought that was terrible because I have to follow that. Can we do something else? We're all dressed up. You want to renew your wedding vows or something? My goodness, that was amazing. Thank you. Won't you pray with me? Oh God, you are the giver of every good gift. You give and you take away. We thank you for the gifts that you have given to Pastor Susan, and we're thankful that she has been a gift to us at Woods. We at Woods are the beneficiaries of her faithfulness to you and your word. We recognize the ways you have used her to give us a glimpse of your beloved community, a vision of life together, and a taste of the heavenly banquet that awaits us. For the ways Susan and Taz have been a gift to us at Woods, this is a night of gratitude. But God, as it was no triumph when Moses did not enter the promised land, as it was a sad surprise to the disciples when Jesus said he would be with them only a little while, tonight it is also a night of sweet sorrow as we recognize that Susan is with us only a little while longer. Console us, O God, that as Susan has been faithful in her coming to Woods, she's also faithful in her leaving. We know at some point that you call us to rest under our own vine, and so it's with that bittersweet knowledge that we hope to bless Susan in her retirement, in her rest, and in her time with her family. God, it's too hard a thing to summarize Susan's legacy and what she has meant to Woods in a single prayer. But it's by your grace that we do not need to. As we've reflected tonight, God, you have used Susan in the ways of all ministers to harvest work that others have done before her. And just as Susan has planted seeds here, there are things not yet ripe. So on a cold night, I trust that much of the work that you have done in Susan here lies dormant. And in its time, we will see it blossom and grow, the fruit of which will be harvested by others, but not without the work that Susan has already done. We trust and we know that what you've done in Susan here at Woods is not stopping this week. It will last for years, if not decades, if not centuries to come. God, we commend Susan and Taz to you in their going, just as we thank you for their coming. Whatever time and whatever miles may separate them from Woods, God, may you hold both of us forever close in your grace and your love. In all circumstances, help us to feel your loving presence in the life of Woods and in the life of the DeWyngaerts. God of love, all evil quelling, sin forgiving, fear dispelling, stay with us, our hearts indwelling, this eventide. Give us rest so that we may awake tomorrow to serve you and our neighbors by your love and grace. We give you thanks. We give you our sorrow. Hold us in your love. Amen.